When my family snickered as I ate bread alone, I kept quiet. Months later, they turned up screaming in my lobby. I told them, I'm done. For 15 years, my family treated me like their personal piggy bank. I paid for everything, I mean everything. But when I finally had enough, when I dared to say no, their response wasn't disappointment, it was pure, unadulterated rage. And trust me, it got ugly. My name is Lucas Moretti, and for half my adult life, I was my family's personal ATM. You heard that right, 15 freaking years. Get comfortable, because this story is a wild one. I'm 33 now, and my job in pharmaceutical sales pays ridiculously well. We're talking a solid base of 85 grand, plus another 35 to 45K in commission and bonuses. So yeah, I'm doing pretty damn good. But you wouldn't know it. I drive a paid-off Honda, live in a modest 2-bedroom, and buy my furniture at estate sales. My coworkers think I'm just a cheapskate. My family? Oh, they think I'm completely broke. And I never once corrected them. Then, there's my younger brother, Adrian. He's 28, the golden child. My parents would brag about his success story at every single family gathering. He supposedly runs a digital marketing agency. From what I could actually see, it was just him and a couple of freelancers making basic Instagram ads for local businesses, charging them outrageous fees. But hey, he had an office in a trendy part of downtown Minneapolis, drove a leased Audi, and flashed expensive watches that he'd forget to take off in photos. Adrian married Isabel 3 years ago. She's a special kind of nightmare. Former sorority president turned lifestyle influencer with maybe 9,500 Instagram followers. She doesn't actually do anything, just shares photos of herself with expensive coffee, spouting nonsense about manifestation and abundance. My mother treated her like visiting royalty. They lived in a refurbished brownstone in Linen Hills, heated floors, chef's kitchen. Their mortgage? Over $2,900 a month. I knew the exact figure because I covered it twice when Adrian's company had cash flow problems. I figured out how things worked pretty early on. I was 10 years old. Adrian was 5. My parents threw him this massive birthday party at a trampoline park. They rented the entire facility, hired a guy to dress up as Spider-Man, and had a custom-made cake. I just asked my mom if I could bring my best friend, Matt. Her face, it contorted into this angry scowl like I just asked for something completely absurd. She snapped, Lucas, today isn't about you. Don't be selfish. So I stayed home. My dad handed me $10 and told me to order pizza. I can still picture it. Sitting on the living room floor, eating alone, listening to my mother's voicemail fill up with messages from relatives, all gushing about what a wonderful party it was. Not one person noticed I wasn't there. Not one person even questioned why. That became the blueprint for my life. My college fund? Gone. Drained the year Adrian decided he needed to go to a private high school with a lacrosse team. My high school graduation celebration? Cancelled because it conflicted with Adrian's playoff game. My father actually flew into a rage when I saved up enough money to buy my first car, a beat-up used Civic I paid for by working late shifts at a distribution warehouse. He said I made him look horrible, that people would assume he couldn't provide for his family. 3 months later, he bought Adrian a used Jeep and told everyone he'd been saving for years to surprise him. My role, my function, became crystal clear to me. I wasn't the son you celebrated. I was the son you used. When my parents suddenly needed $5,800 for emergency roof repairs, I mailed them a check. When Adrian's wedding venue wanted a $10,500 deposit he didn't have, I wired it. Isabel's car got totaled, and their insurance didn't cover the full cost. I sent $2,400. My father's medical bills piled up after a minor procedure. $3,700, paid by me. And you know what? Nobody ever thanked me. Nobody ever asked how I did it. My father would take credit, shaking hands at church, basking in congratulations for being such a provider. Adrian would share photos of his blessed life on social media, talking about hard work. Isabel would tag my mother in pictures of lavish brunches, expressing gratitude for her generosity. I was a ghost, an invisible hand, holding a wallet. My friend, Felix, he saw it. Every few weeks, we'd have lunch, and I'd casually mention helping the family with something. He'd just shake his head, call me a doormat, and say they'd never stop taking as long as I kept giving. I'd always just change the subject. Because a part of me, a deep, naive part, still believed that if I just gave enough, they'd finally notice me. I'd finally matter. I believed that falsehood for 15 damn years. Then, 4 months ago, my mother called. It was a Wednesday afternoon, and I was just wrapping up a meeting with a hospital administrator when my phone chimed. Her voice was chirpy. "Oh, Lucas, your father wants to take the whole family to dinner on Friday night. He says it's important. Adrian and Isabel have some great news to share." I already knew exactly what it meant. I actually considered saying no, but I also knew the avalanche that would follow. My mother would send paragraph-long texts about the importance of family. My father would leave voicemails calling me ungrateful. Adrian would post passive-aggressive crap about how hard it is when others don't support your success. It was just easier to go. So I said yes. Mom gave me the details. Friday at 7 p.m., some place called Monarch Prime. I'd never heard of it. After we hung up, I looked it up. My stomach sank. It was one of those high-end steakhouses where power brokers take clients to close deals. Reservations only. Strict dress code. The menu wasn't even online, but reviews said entrees started at $58 and steaks were well over $175. I knew exactly how this night would play out. My father would sit at the head of the table, ordering the most expensive items, offering toasts, playing the benevolent patriarch. Then, when the bill arrived, he'd catch my eye with that familiar look. The one that said, "You've got this, right?" And I'd pay. As always. That night, I called Felix and told him about the dinner. He laughed. Not a sympathetic laugh, but the kind you give someone who's about to make the same dumb mistake for the 100th time. He asked, "How much do you think this one's gonna cost you?" I sighed. "Couple grand, probably." He got serious. "You know they're never going to stop, right? Not as long as you keep paying." I mumbled, "Yeah, I know." But deep down, I didn't know. Not really. Not yet. Friday arrived. I hit the gym in the morning, then grabbed lunch at my favorite Vietnamese place, an $8 bowl of pho huge. Spent the afternoon catching up on work emails, watching college football. Around 6:45, I put on my dress, slacks, and a button-down. I drove to Monarch Prime. It was in the North Loop, a converted warehouse, all exposed brick and floor-to-ceiling windows. I pulled up, handed my keys to some kid in a vest, and went inside. The hostess, all in black, had that perfect posture you only learn at finishing school. I gave her my father's name. She smiled, then led me through the dining room. Dark wood, supple leather, hushed lighting, quiet conversations. The kind of place where even the silence felt expensive. They'd reserved a corner table near the windows, overlooking the city. I was the first one there. I sat facing the entrance, ordered water, and deliberately avoided the bread they brought out. My family came 12 minutes late. Altogether, my mother wore a dress I'd never seen before. My father was in a full suit. Adrian and Isabel looked like they just stepped out of a Neiman Marcus catalog. Adrian's suit alone was probably more expensive than my monthly rent. They moved right past me to the table. My mother was waving to someone across the room. My father was scanning the room like he owned it. Adrian was glued to his phone. Isabel was primping her hair. Not one of them said hello. Not one of them acknowledged that I even existed. They took their seats, shrugging off jackets, setting down designer bags. My mother leaned in closer to Isabel, whispering something that made them both giggle. Adrian ordered a drink before even opening the menu. My father flagged down the waiter and started asking about the drink list. I just sat there, hands folded, clinging to a desperate, fading hope that someone, anyone, would notice me. The waiter arrived with the drinks. He poured them into 4 glasses, for my parents, Adrian and Isabel, skipping mine entirely. My father didn't even notice. The menus arrived. Thick, leather-bound, with gold lettering. I opened mine and went straight to the prices. Appetizers, $25 to $50. The cheapest entree was a chicken dish for $52. Pasta was $42. I decided that was my best bet. Filling enough, inexpensive enough not to draw attention. My father reclined back, without even opening his menu. That's when it hit me. He was going huge. He just waved a hand. Order whatever you like. Tonight's special. I went back to my menu, eyes on that spaghetti. Yeah, that would work. The waiter returned. Ready to order. My father went first. I'll have the largest ribeye you have, with truffle butter and roasted bone marrow. My mother requested scallops with caviar and a lobster tail. Adrian and Isabel rattled off their orders. The big porterhouse, the fillet, a whole lobster appetizer, and a mountain of sides. Then, everyone looked at me. The waiter looked at me. I opened my mouth to request the pasta. My father cut me off. Lucas doesn't require much, he explained. He's trying to save money. He reached across the table for the bread basket. It was filled with warm sourdough rolls and butter. He slid it towards me. The sound of that basket scratching across the tablecloth was audible in the sudden, deafening silence. He said, "We didn't order enough for you anyway. This should be enough." The table fell silent, the kind of silence that only happens when someone is utterly humiliated in public. I stared at the bread basket. My mother looked down at her napkin, pretending to adjust it. Adrian smirked, glancing at Isabel. She had this contented little smile, like she was watching something fascinating, something good. Her response, a cold, clear voice. Honestly, Lucas, you should be grateful your dad even invited you. The waiter stood frozen. His pen hadn't moved. He stared at me, then at my father, trying to figure out if this was some kind of twisted joke. I shook my head slightly. He took a step back. I drew the basket closer, tore off a slice of bread, and chewed it slowly. It tasted like nothing. My father resumed his conversation, this time about investing in rental properties. My mother started asking Isabel about possible baby names. Apparently, that was the big news they were looking for. Adrian just examined his phone, one hand scrolling, the other holding his drink. I ate another slice of bread, then another. The basket was empty. Nobody offered me anything else. The lobster came out. Adrian and Isabel tore into it, shells shattering, both of them remarking on how delicious it tasted. My mother took photographs. My father poured more drinks. When the entrees arrived, the server arranged huge, steaming dishes in front of everyone but me. My father's steak was the size of a small roast. Adrian's porterhouse practically hung off the plate. Isabel bit into her fillet and raved about how it was the nicest thing she'd ever had. My mother ate her scallops with her eyes closed as if in ecstasy. I just sat there, empty-handed, watching them feast on hundreds of dollars worth of food. And in my mind, I started adding up the numbers. The roof repair I'd paid for, Adrian's wedding, my father's surgical bills, my mother's credit card debt, paid off twice, Adrian's house payments, twice. While they happily nibbled on $350 steaks, I sat there with an empty bread basket, the numbers swirling in my head. Then Adrian glanced at me, a smug look on his face. You know, Lucas, if you actually applied yourself, maybe you could afford to eat like an adult. Isabel actually laughed. My mother just smirked. My father didn't even look up from his steak. I simply nodded, said nothing. I just folded my hands and waited. Let them enjoy it, I thought, while it lasts. Dessert arrived, a softball-sized chocolate confection, served with 4 spoons. They devoured it in minutes. I watched. When they finished, my father patted his stomach. Ah, that was perfect. We should do this more often. The waiter appeared with a small black leather folder. He walked past all of them, paused next to me, and placed it right in front of me. I opened it. $2,875. $2,875. For a meal I didn't even touch. I stared at the figure for a long moment. Then I stood up. The chair scraped so loudly that people at nearby tables peered over. I closed the folder, slid it across the table toward my father, looked the waiter dead in the eye, and said, "Give it to the people who actually ate." The entire table went silent. Then my mother, her voice a strained whisper, said, "Excuse me?" "Yeah, excuse me," I said. And then I walked away. I walked through that dark, hushed restaurant, past the bar, past the host stand, and out the front doors into the cold October night. My hands were steady. I felt calm. Weirdly, absurdly calm. As if I'd been holding my breath for 15 years, and had finally let it go. I got to my car and sat behind the wheel. Didn't even start the engine. I just sat there in the parking garage for a minute, imagining what was happening inside. The waiter, standing at the table, holding that bill. My father staring at the total, his face probably flushed crimson. My mother glancing around anxiously, terrified of what others might think. Adrian, no doubt, reaching for his wallet, suddenly realizing his credit card wouldn't pay for half of this. My phone started vibrating. Text after text. Mom. Lucas, get back here right now. Dad, you don't dare embarrass us like this. Fix this right away. Adrian, are you kidding me? You're embarrassing us. Isabel, you are pathetic. Grow up and pay the bill. I read each one. Let them sit on my screen. Then I opened my contacts. And one by one I blocked them. Every single one of them. Click. 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 I started the car. No rush. I took the long way home, through downtown, past the river and the old neighborhoods. Nobody was waiting. Nobody was calling me anymore. I parked at my building and walked up 3 flights of steps, came inside, and just sat on my couch in the dark. For 15 years, I had assumed that being silent was the same as keeping the peace. That paying for their meals, their bills, their emergencies, was what family expected. That if I just gave enough, they would finally notice me. That I would finally be good enough. But sitting there, with that empty bread basket in front of me, watching those jerks gorge themselves on $350 steaks, I finally understood. Years of pent-up guilt and patience were finally released. I wasn't their son or brother. I was just a walking, talking, human ATM. So, I opened my banking app, and I started scrolling through all the automatic payments I had set up over the years. Dad's Yacht Club membership, $340 a month, gone. Adrian's business loan payment, $750 a month. Poof. Mom's spa membership, $150 a month, done. My parents' timeshare in Scottsdale, $540 a month, deleted. I canceled every single one. Each confirmation felt like another massive weight being lifted from my shoulders. Then I moved to my credit cards, found the authorized users. Adrian was on 2 cards, Dad on 1, Mom on another. I removed them all, locked the accounts, changed every single password. Next, I opened my email and searched for invoice, receipt, payment. Years of history flooded my screen. I'd paid for trips I wasn't invited on, birthday parties I never attended, house improvements where I wasn't wanted. I created a folder called Evidence and started dragging everything in. Then I dug deeper. I checked pending charges on my credit cards. Discovered 6 I hadn't authorized. Isabel at Saks Fifth Avenue, just 2 days before that dinner. Adrian at a golf club pro shop. Mom at Nordstrom. Dad at a luxury auto detail shop. And 2 more from Adrian's business account. $2,000 in marketing expenses. I challenged every single one. Filed fraud reports. The bank sent confirmations within minutes. The charges would be reversed. They would all receive notices. Perfect. I went back to recurring payments. The Scottsdale timeshare. My folks used it 3 weeks every year. I'd been paying the monthly charge for 5 years. The next payment was due in 5 days. I called the company and canceled it. They reimbursed the deposit. Found another invoice, Adrian's business financing. He'd taken out $32,000 to expand, 2 years prior. I'd been covering the monthly payment ever since, because he promised to pay me back once things settled. They never did. I called the bank and stated I was no longer financially responsible. They updated the records. All subsequent correspondence would be directed to Adrian. By Sunday night, I had canceled 15 recurring payments. Total monthly savings, $3,400. $3,400. The amount I had been sending, every single month, to people who treated me like a stranger. Monday morning, I drafted an email to my extended family, aunts, uncles, cousins, the ones who would most likely start receiving frantic calls from my parents and Adrian very soon. It was simple. I'm dealing with a personal situation and need some space. Please do not contact me on behalf of my parents or Adrian. I'll reach out when I'm ready. Send it to about 20 people. Then, I set up email filters. Anything with my parents' names, Adrian's name, or Isabel's name went straight to a folder I'd never open. I called Felix and told him everything. He was quiet for a second, then he chuckled. Holy hell, Lucas! You actually did it. I just said, yeah, I did. He asked, finally, man. Took you long enough. How are you feeling? I thought about it for a moment. Free, I said. Just free. Tuesday afternoon, they arrived at my building. I was about to head out for lunch when I saw them in the lobby. All four of them, standing near the front desk, talking to Eric, my building manager. My dad's voice was loud. It's a family emergency. We need to see him right away. Mom's expression was a mask of worry. Adrian stood there, arms folded, jaw tight. Isabel just looked annoyed. I paused just inside the hallway, took a deep breath, and actually considered going around. But this was my building. My home. They were the intruders. I walked forward. Eric noticed me first. Mr. Moretti, these people swear they're your family. They're requesting entry to your unit. I looked at them. My voice was firm. I don't want them in my building. Mom stepped forward, her voice pleading. Lucas, please. We just want to talk. I shook my head. No. Dad's cheeks turned an angry red. This is ridiculous. You have embarrassed us. You left us with a $2,900 bill that we could not pay. You have been neglecting us. You owe us an explanation. I looked him dead in the eyes. I do not owe you anything. Figure out your stuff. Adrian moved closer. Don't talk to your father like this. You have to grow up and correct this. My blood was boiling. You are no longer my issue, people. I'm done with you. Mom's eyes flooded with tears. Lucas, how could you do this? What has happened to you? And something within me just snapped. What's happened to me? I said, my voice rising. Apparently, I'm not going to let you walk all over me anymore. I've been dealing with your BS for years. I helped everyone because I was naive enough to believe you saw me as a son. You do not. You regard me as a wallet. The wallet is now closed. Get the hell out of here. They froze. They even had the audacity to pretend to be hurt. That's not true, Dad said. I cut him off. Oh, really? So why did you give me a breadbasket while everyone else ate $350 steaks? Why did Isabel tell me I should be grateful you even invited me? Why have I been paying for your entire lives for years, and you never once said thank you? The lobby fell absolutely silent. Eric shifted uncomfortably. A few residents strolled by, trying hard not to stare. I canceled the payments. I continued, my voice clear and steady. All of them. I removed you from my credit cards. I disputed the charges you made without asking. I am done. Now straighten your things out and leave me alone. You cannot do that. Dad shouted, his face purple. You can't cut us off like this. I smiled. A genuine, terrifying smile. I just did. Sue me. Adrian's voice became sharp. You're going to regret this, Lucas. I looked at him, unwavering. I'm really not. I turned to face Eric. Please make sure they leave. He nodded, moving towards my family. You folks need to go. I strolled past them and out the front door. I heard my father call out my name. I didn't stop. Got into my car and drove away. I did not look back once. That night I did the math. I pulled out every receipt, bank statement, and invoice from the previous 15 years and created a spreadsheet. When I finished, I was absolutely astounded. The amount I had given them over 15 years, $248,000. That was a house. That was retirement money. I broke it down, line by line. I printed the spreadsheet. It was 12 pages long. Over the next week, I tracked the fallout from my filtered email folder. Dad's Boat Club sent a suspension notice. Membership revoked due to non-payment. He had 30 days to pay the remainder or lose access forever. The Scottsdale Timeshare Company deducted the $1,600 cancellation fee from Dad's credit card. He'd have to pay or risk collections. Adrian received a notice from the bank regarding his company loan, which had missed its first payment. If he didn't catch up within 14 days, they would initiate default procedures. One by one, the luxuries I'd been funding vanished. My uncle wrote an email. Dad was reportedly struggling financially. My mother was distraught. He suggested I reconsider because family forgives. I didn't respond. A cousin contacted me on Facebook, saying I was pulling the family apart, calling me nasty over a single supper. I blocked her, but they weren't finished. These people had no idea about boundaries. And honestly, it was entirely my fault from the start. They went much, much too far. 2 weeks after the dinner, I returned home from work to find my car keyed. Deep, ugly scratches on both sides, from headlight to taillight. The letters JK were carved into the driver's side door. I stood in that parking garage, took photos from every angle, and filed a police report. The cop who arrived said that without video footage or witnesses, they probably couldn't do much. But I knew. I knew who had done it. Couldn't prove it, but I knew. 3 days later, someone slashed both of my tires. That night, I bought and installed a front and rear-facing dash cam. Motion activated. Cost me $350, but it felt worth it. The next incident happened at my apartment. I came home to find paint splashed all over my door, vivid red, dripping down to the carpet. The word traitor scrawled in sloppy letters. Eric, the building manager, was furious. He reviewed the hallway cameras. The footage showed a guy in a sweatshirt and a mask, face completely obscured. It happened at 1:30 a.m., when no one else was around. I filed another police report. The same cop from earlier became more interested. He said it was plainly targeted harassment. Asked if I had any idea who could be doing this. I told him everything. About my family, the dinner, the decision to cut them off. He took notes, said I should consider documenting everything, and even getting a restraining order if it persisted. And it did. Someone called my office, pretending to be a client. Made an official complaint about me. A complete fabrication. Said I mishandled their account, cost them money. My manager summoned me, clearly alarmed. I calmly explained the situation, showed him the police reports, the pattern of harassment. He believed me, but I could tell he was worried. Then they targeted my reputation. Someone made a phony Facebook profile using my name and photo. It started spewing bizarre rants about how I'd abandoned my sick mother, stolen from my brother's business, and refused to support my family in their time of need. Friends started texting me, "Lucas, are you okay?" I reported the profile. Facebook took it down after 3 days, but the damage was done. I called Felix and told him everything that was happening. His words were blunt. "Dude, you need to get a lawyer. These folks are insane." He gave me the number for his attorney, Clara Weiss. Family law, restraining orders. I called her the very next day. We met at her office downtown. I brought everything, the spreadsheet with $248,000 in payments, the police records. She examined everything meticulously. Then she looked up. "Lucas, this is pretty obvious harassment. We can absolutely seek a restraining order, but please understand, this will most likely exacerbate the situation before it improves. Are you prepared for that?" I met her gaze. "I'm ready." She nodded. "Good. Let's make them face the consequences." We filed restraining orders against all 4 of them. The petitions were detailed, packed with all the proof. Police records, photographs, the spreadsheet explicitly demonstrating years of financial abuse, screenshots of threatening texts from extended family members that clearly reference conversations with my parents. The court date was set for 2 weeks away. In the meantime, things got worse. Someone spray-painted my apartment building's exterior wall with huge, angry letters. "Lucas Moretti is a thief." Eric was absolutely infuriated. Building surveillance cameras captured a dark SUV pulling up at 3 a.m. Someone got out, caused the damage, and then left. The plates were obscured by mud, but I recognized that SUV. Adrian drove a dark blue Audi Q7. I forwarded the clip to Clara and the police. Then, Isabel made a crucial error. She shared a photo of the vandalism on my building to her Instagram story, with the message, "When karma comes for people who abandon family." I screenshotted it before it disappeared and emailed it to Clara. She just grinned upon seeing it. "They're making this too easy." The harassment continued. Someone filed a fraudulent report with my HOA, claiming I was operating an unlawful company from my apartment. The HOA board investigated, found nothing, but I still had to attend a hearing and explain myself. Someone even put a dead rat on my doormat. I took photographs, filed another police report. Then Adrian showed up at my workplace. I was in a meeting with a hospital purchasing director when my assistant knocked on the door, looking uneasy. She said someone named Adrian Moretti was in the foyer, insisting on seeing me, claiming a family emergency. I excused myself from the meeting and walked out into the lobby. Adrian stood there in rumpled pants and a crumpled button-down, looking like he hadn't slept in days. His usually impeccable hair was a disaster. When he saw me, his expression twisted into a snarl. "We need to talk." I answered, "No, we don't." He moved closer. "You are destroying this family. Mom is taking anxiety medicine because of you. Dad needed to sell his boat. My business is collapsing because you withdrew the loan payment. Isabel is pregnant and completely stressed." I looked at him, stone-faced. "That's not my problem." His voice became louder, desperate. "You owe us, Lucas." "I don't owe you anything. You need to leave now." "Or what?" he challenged. I pulled out my phone and started recording him. "Or I call the police and add another incident to the restraining order petition." His face turned absolutely pallid. He glanced at the phone, then at me. "You're really doing this?" "You did it," I said, my voice cold. "All of you. Now leave." He turned and walked away. I watched him get into his SUV, the very same one from the security footage, and drive out of the parking lot. I sent the video to Clara right away. That night, I received a call from an unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. It was my mother, crying. "Lucas, please. Your father needed to take out a loan. We need assistance. We need you." I replied, my voice flat. "No, Mom. Move on. I'm not your bank anymore." "That's not fair," she wailed. "Not fair." I shot back. "You allowed Adrian and Isabel to mock me. You used me for 15 years and never once asked how I was doing. You're now vandalizing my property and harassing me at work. And you want to talk about fairness?" She was silent for a long time. Then, her voice small, she said, "If you don't help us, we're going to lose the house." "Then you'll lose the house," I said. "How could you be so cruel?" she whispered. "I learned from the best," I explained. Then I hung up and blocked the number. The silence that followed was glorious. The court day arrived. The courthouse felt cold and impersonal. Clara and I met in the hallway outside the courtroom. She was carrying 2 briefcases, absolutely stuffed with evidence. "They're here," she said, a glint in her eye. "All 4 of them. They have a lawyer too, Henrik Vogel. He'll try to portray you as vengeful, financially controlling. But don't worry, Lucas. We are going to bury him." We entered the courtroom. My family was sitting on the other side with their attorney, a middle-aged man in an expensive suit who radiated false confidence. The judge was a woman in her 60s. She had a reputation for not accepting any rubbish. The hearing began. Henrik Vogel went first. He tried to cast me as some dominating, abusive son who had financially manipulated my family for years, only to abruptly cut them off without warning. He argued the vandalism was untested, the phony Facebook profile could have been established by anyone, and my family simply wanted to reconnect. Then Clara stood up, and she absolutely destroyed them. She walked the judge through that entire spreadsheet, line by line, totaling $248,000 in payments over 15 years. She presented paperwork from the supper at Monarch Prime, where I was given a breadbasket while they ordered almost $2,875 worth of food. She demonstrated the immediate, escalating harassment that began the moment I cut them off financially, the keyed car, the slashed tires, the apartment vandalism, the phony social media profiles, the dead rat on my doormat, and Adrian turning up at my office. She showed the security footage of Adrian's SUV at my building on the night someone spray-painted the facade. She shared Isabel's Instagram story, the one that celebrated the damage, with that smug caption about karma. Then came the financial records, every single fraudulent credit card charge, every canceled payment, each contested transaction. Henrik Vogel objected, stating that financial history was irrelevant to a harassment action. The judge instantly shut him down, her voice sharp, telling him she would decide what was significant. Clara kept going. She demonstrated how Adrian had submitted bogus complaints, the HOA report, the fictitious client complaint at my workplace, showing how the harassment had progressed over 5 weeks in a clear pattern of retribution. Then, she played the video of Adrian at my office, getting right in my face and threatening me. When she finished, the judge sat there for a long moment, staring at my family with an expression of pure disdain. My father, of course, couldn't keep his mouth shut. Henrik tried to stop him, but Dad stood up and launched into a lengthy speech about how he had raised me, given me everything, and now I was quitting the family over one supper. One mistake. He actually said that. The judge let him speak for about 30 seconds before cutting him off, her voice dangerously calm. She asked him directly if he had served me a breadbasket while everyone else ate costly steaks. He stammered, claiming it was a misunderstanding. She asked if I had paid for the dinner. He admitted I hadn't, and that they had to cover it themselves after I left. Then she took out the financial documents showing the $248,000 I had paid over the years and asked if it was correct. Dad's cheeks turned crimson. He started backpedaling, claiming that I had offered to assist and that they had never compelled me to pay for anything. She flipped through the evidence one more time before looking up. Her voice was ice cold as she announced the restraining order. All 4 of them, my mother, my father, Adrian, and Isabel, were barred from contacting me directly or indirectly. They couldn't get within 400 feet of my home, my business, or my vehicle. The order would remain in effect for 18 months. My mother started crying. Dad looked like he'd been physically smacked. Adrian's expression twisted with pure wrath. Isabel just stared at the floor. And the best part, the judge ordered them to pay reparations for property damage. She explained that we would submit an itemized list, which the court would analyze to determine the ultimate sum. The hearing was over. Clara turned to face me, a small, knowing smile on her lips. That went well. I just nodded. Honestly, I was just exhausted. We walked out of court. My family was in the hallway, huddled together with Henrik Vogel. My father noticed me and began to say something. Clara moved smoothly between us. Don't. You are currently under court order. Her voice was sharp. Walk away. They walked away. Clara and I stood there for a moment. She asked, Are you okay? I'm great, I said. She nodded. Here comes the fun part. We make them pay for what they did. The restitution hearing was scheduled for 5 weeks later. Meanwhile, Clara engaged a forensic accountant named Matteo Clean. He resembled someone's kindly father, but possessed shark-like predatory instincts when it came to numbers. He tore through my data as if he were investigating a massive financial fraud. He meticulously calculated car repair costs for the keying and tire slashing, building exterior cleaning and repainting, door replacement and hallway carpet cleaning, dash cam installation, security system upgrades for my apartment, missed wages for police reports and court appearances, legal fees, and, yes, even emotional distress. He initially suggested we might dispute about $18,000, but Matteo suggested we go bigger. He stated we could add the bogus credit card charges they made before I turned them off, which I had successfully rejected. That added an additional $5,000. And he indicated we could seek punitive damages based on the clear pattern of harassment. Clara agreed. We filed a claim for $28,000. My family's counsel tried to oppose it, claiming that the numbers were inflated, that emotional pain was not quantifiable, and that I was attempting to financially ruin them. The hearing was before the same judge. Matteo testified first, walking the judge through every single spending, line by line, displaying receipts, police reports that perfectly matched the dates, everything. Henrik Vogel attempted to poke holes during cross-examination. Matteo did not budge. He had documents for everything. Then Clara summoned me to the stand. I recounted the entire story. 15 years of being the family ATM, that dinner, and the relentless harassment that ensued when I finally said no. I discussed how it affected my employment, my emotional health, and my capacity to feel safe in my own home. Then Adrian took the stand. Henrik had clearly advised against it, as evidenced by the look on his face. But Adrian insisted. He came up there and immediately began ranting about how I'd always been jealous of him, how I couldn't take the fact that he was more successful, and how I duped our parents into believing I was the victim. Clara simply let him hang himself with his own words for a good 5 minutes. Then she posed a simple question. Have you vandalized your brother's property, Mr. Moretti? No, I didn't, he practically yelled. Clara displayed the security footage of the Audi Q7 outside my building. Is this your vehicle, Mr. Moretti? Adrian froze. It looks like mine, but I let someone borrow it that night. What friend, Mr. Moretti? I don't remember. When testimony concluded, the judge did not waste time deliberating. She declared that she would award me $21,000 in damages and reparations. The payment included documented property damage, lost wages, legal fees, and mental suffering. The four of them would split it equally, $5,250 each. Payment was due within 60 days, or she would authorize wage garnishment. My father jumped up and protested that they couldn't afford it. The judge just closed him down, set the gavel down with a resounding thud. Done. I walked out of the courthouse, Clara beside me. She smiled. They'll have to sell things. Downsize for once. Take the consequences seriously. I nodded, a deep sense of satisfaction settling in. Good. 2 months later, I received a certified check in the mail for $21,000 from an attorney's trust account. They had paid. I deposited it. Then I donated half of it to a financial literacy organization that teaches young people about budgeting and avoiding unhealthy financial connections. The other half I kept. I used some of it to take a 2-week trip to Japan, something I had always wanted to do, but had never allowed myself. I didn't mention it on social media. I didn't tell anyone except Felix. I just went. I ate amazing cuisine, saw ancient temples. I walked through cities where no one knew me. When I returned, my apartment felt different, lighter. The restraining order remained in effect. Nobody had approached me. Nobody had violated it. I changed my phone number, solely for safety, giving it only to Felix and a few close friends. At work, everything improved. My manager had been incredibly supportive throughout, and I had worked hard to show that the turmoil would not hinder my performance. I concluded the year 12% above quota, received a bonus. Life moved forward. I vividly remember that night at Monarch Prime, the bread basket, the expression on their faces as I walked away from that bill, the dread they must have felt. But more, I remember the time in my car afterward, sitting in the dark parking garage, wiping their numbers, one by one, and the profound, beautiful silence that followed. That was the moment when I decided to be me. It took me a long time to stand up for myself, and honestly, the fallout was brutal. But knowing what I know now, I wouldn't change a thing. So, I have to ask, if you were in my shoes, faced with your own family treating you like an ATM, how long would you have let it go on? What would you have done when they pushed you to your breaking point? Let me know in the comments below. I really want to hear your thoughts.